Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. This morning is going to be story time. Um, so, I wanted to share a little bit about one of the big milestones in my life, and don't know really my career, but just kind of how I viewed what I do as a living. I'm a 40-year mortgage professional. I have helped, I don't even know how many people at this point get into homes. I am now financing grandchildren of people that I originally got into a home. Which is very satisfying, by the way, to have a family that is a customer and they send their family members to me and their friends. Boy, talk about a compliment and a privilege. You know, can't beat that. But anyway, so when I first got started, it was back in 1983. It was for a small savings and loan. Some of you may not even know what a savings and loan was. It was a kind of what the credit unions had become. I think it was prior to deregulation of banking. And anyway, so Valdosta, Georgia, very small town. This was a privately owned savings and loan. So the customers were people that were friends of the guy who owned the savings and loan, people within the community, very close knit group. I was about 18 or 19 at the time, and I worked for a loan manager. We were working with a young couple that was they bought their first home. It's a single wide mobile home on land, and it took about 90 days because they had to put in, electric, septic, well, the whole deal. But they were super, super excited. And about 2 weeks prior to closing, she had also found out that she was just about to have a baby. So they were very excited about that. And on the day of their closing, my boss was out of town. He couldn't attend the closing, so I had to go attend the closing. It was the first closing I'd ever attended. It was on Patterson Street. It was in an old antebellum home that had been restored and remodeled beautifully. And it was, of course, being closed by attorneys. I'd never been to a closing. I'd never been to one of those offices. I was nervous. Oh my gosh, I was so scared. I remember it like it was yesterday. Did not have a clue what I was doing, but boy, I was trying to act like I did know what I was doing, which is probably why I missed some things in the closing. But in any case, so during the closing, what happened was the guy, he's a big burly guy too, worked outside, big manly man kind of guy. They were sitting in the closing, and again, this wasn't really dramatic. I mean, I think maybe if you weren't like noticing, like being ultra self conscious, like I was being, it might have passed. The moment might have passed and nobody really saw it, but certainly made an impression on me. He visibly became emotional. It was a moment, it wasn't dramatic, but it shocked me so badly because at that point in my life, I had never seen a man become emotional. All the guys that I was raised around were very, very stoic. They didn't really show that kind of emotion. And at that point, I didn't even realize that guys could show that kind of emotion. That's how young and stupid I was. Or green. I wasn't stupid, but young and very, very green. But it left a big impression on me, and I thought about it for weeks later. This memory just kept coming back and coming back. And anytime I get real stirred up in my spirit about something like that, I take it to God in prayer and just, what is going on with this? I don't understand why this is affecting me so much. And then I remembered something that I had forgotten about and didn't register on. And again, very small moment. Probably wouldn't have noticed it, but I did. And I remember at one point in the closing, he looked down at his wife who was sitting next to him, and he told her, he said, I've been praying for this for so long. It was just a very brief moment, and I remember thinking, wow, okay, so this really meant something to him. Like, this is a big deal. This is something, and I never thought about home ownership that way before. It just never occurred to me that it would be that meaningful. So I still thought about it weeks and weeks later, went down the road, and again praying, and this epiphany just hit me, and it was like, Vicki, you didn't get to know that customer very well. You really did not understand how meaningful this was to them. Like, it was fun, them coming in, and you would talk and chit chat and laugh, but this clearly was a bigger deal to them than what it was to you, because you never really understood the significance of what this buying this home meant to them. And that is the moment that everything changed for me with this job. I was never the same after that, and I've carried that memory around with me forever. It's still with me now. I can remember it like I can't remember the people's name, but I can remember their faces. Like it happened yesterday, and the conclusions that I came to as a result of that impression of his emotion made me realize, I need to find out why people are doing the transaction. As long as I worked with them for almost 3 months, I should have known how important this was to them. I should have known it was a bigger deal than just a financial transaction, something that they were buying, like a material good. This clearly meant more to them than that. And I realized, maybe this guy never had a home. Maybe no one in his family ever had a home. Was he in foster care? Because here he was buying his home, his wife by his side. She is pregnant with their first child. This may have been everything he ever dreamed of, and yet I didn't know it. And from that moment on, and I got better at it as I went through my career, in finding out the motivation, but what is their why behind why they're either refinancing their home or purchasing their home. Give you an example. I'm doing a refinance right now for a lady, did her original purchase, and I ask her, just like I do in all of my interviews now, I'm like, tell me what your goals are. Why do you need to refinance this? What's happening right now? What need is this meeting for you? And she's like, Vicki, I just found out I'm pregnant, and I want to try to spend 6 more months with my child if I can, and so I'm trying to reduce all of my costs as much as I possibly can. And I thought that I can get my head around that. That's my mission for your loan. I can latch on to that because, yes, I want to try to be a part of giving you 6 more months with your new baby. Absolutely, let's do that. And so what we do is I put her loan in the pipeline, went in, took the application, got all of her documents. Now we're stalking rate. So every day I pull pricing for her, and I send her out what's going on with pricing. The first time the rates rocked up a little bit during this process, because we've been in this process now for about 2 months. We're trying to get down into the 5s, and we're getting close. We're getting close. And by the way, if you've got a mortgage and you're at 7% or higher, man, you need to get me on the phone. We need to run some numbers, some fantasy numbers, take a look at a refinance. Might be a good idea for you. I don't have to pull credit. We don't have to get into the whole application thing right now. I can actually run numbers in front of all of this to see if the numbers look like something that you need to do right now, keeping in mind that home is the most important asset you've got, at least for normal people like me, and I'm sure probably you. Handling that financial structure on that and handling that asset responsibly is critical part of home ownership. And so now is one of those times. We know Fed's going to lower rate in September. The run up to that, we normally will see a few days in there where the market just plummets and we get these really great rates. But if you don't have an application in, if you haven't already signed your disclosures, we're scrambling at the last minute trying to get that done before the rates adjust so that I've got your file in a position where you can lock. Keeping in mind with the refinance, you're not obligated to close that refinance unless you want to. Anyway, I'm getting off on the whole refinance thing, and I meant to finish my story. So as you can tell, I like to talk a lot, so I digress. So let's go back to the story. So anyway, that encounter with that first closing changed the way that I do my business, and I still think about that couple today. And I'm so glad because it really corrected me in a way that if I was going to stay doing what I'm doing for a living, I need to understand your why behind why you're buying or why you're refinancing, because I need to be a really good partner with you in trying to get those goals met. And it's a big part of my job. I take it really seriously in trying to make sure that you get the very best deal and that those goals, whatever those financial goals you're trying to achieve, that we meet them through whatever we're doing. And the other thing I do too is, a lot of people shop me. They'll turn their application in with me, but they'll shop another lender. We'll go back and forth. They'll show me those cost estimate worksheets. I'll use those cost estimate worksheets to try to restructure or get to a place where I'm either the same or better than another lender. And, it's just a process, but it's one that I welcome, and it's one of the things I really, really love to do. So anyway, so that's my storytelling for today. Sorry for the rambling. Maybe I will do a separate post on refinances because it is important, and now is the moment. It really is. But I'll go into that video a little bit more. Please leave your comments below. Let me know if you have any comments or questions. I'll be more than happy to help you and answer any questions you might have. It's what I do for a living, and I absolutely love it. So hope you have a great, great week. We're having a rainy, stormy day here in Florida. Holy cow. But I hope where you're at is much sunnier and maybe a little more pleasant. So talk to you guys soon.